This is a lazy day poem. The fan has turned polyester blend into satin, and discriminate clouds convert lunchtime sun to mood lighting. The dip in the old mattress, its cradle cupping luxury for ears that let the muted hum of motorcycles just roll down my reclined spine. I think I'll just stay in bed today. Well, obviously, I chose not to stay in bed today. I chose to come down to the studio and film another fabulous episode of Culture in Maine. And that's because this week we have real heart and soul that's coming to you today. We have gospel singer, Pastor Teresa Day, who was one of the most fabulous vocalizers that I've gotten to hear in recent history. We also have the spoken word of Edquina Washington, who's a member of the Word Wide Performance Collective and does incredible community service work bringing art and poetry and an appreciation for expression to kids all over the city. We also have the very special outreach of artist Deb Lentz, who's done the beautiful artwork behind us. She's also an author for children, and she uses her art to get kids excited about the visual arts in York. So please sit back, enjoy the fabulous community-motivated artistic stylings of today's guests. And let's start off with the music of Pastor Teresa Day.
How many of you out there love Jesus on today? If you do, just wave your hand. Just put your mind on him and bask in his presence. His name is Jesus, sweet Jesus. Oh, how I love to call his name. His name is Jesus, sweet, sweet Jesus. Every day,
your name is the same.
When trouble surrounds me, I didn't have to despair. Lord, you told me you'd be right there. Seemed like all of my problems had just begun, but I didn't have to worry no more. They were already won.
Jesus,
oh, how I love to call
your name.
Your name is Jesus,
Jesus,
sweet Jesus,
Jesus.
Every
day, your name is the same.
I
Jesus,
the beginning and the end.
Jesus,
Oh, I love you, Lord.
every day.
I love you, 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 Lord. Jesus,
Jesus,
oh, Jesus,
Jesus,
I love just calling your
I
name.
love calling your name.
Because what you did for me,
Jesus,
you died on Calvary.
Jesus,
You came and you set me free. Your name is the same. How many of you out there know that no matter what you go through, God understands and He knows and He has it all in control? Though the pressures of life seems to weigh you down, and you don't know which way to turn, God is concerned and He's working it out for you. The child that's on cocaine, don't give up on him. Through prayer he can change. Yes, he can. And that marriage that's on the verge of breaking up, although sometimes you have to walk alone. Now you ask yourself, is there a word from the Lord? You need a blessing, and you need it right away. God is concerned, and He's working it out for you. How many know about this? No peace in the home. There's no peace on the job. Your bills are due, and the doctor said your health is failing too. But God is concerned, and He's working it out for you. Yes, He is. Yeah.
He's working it out.
Oh,
I'm here with pastor and incredible gospel singer, Teresa Day. Now, I know you come from a musical family. So you did not just start singing when you started preaching. You've been singing from how long back?
God, ever since I was a child. But I was always shy and scared to sing. And we used to have family reunions. And on the Saturday of the weekend that we had it, we would have the cookout and the picnic and everything.
Of course.
And then that Sunday, we would have the church service for like the church, old home church from, the older family. And I have a cousin that every year would put my name on the list to sing.
She just wrote you up if you wanted to or not.
Yes, and I would be scared to death and just as nervous. And but I would get up there and do my little rendition of singing. And just as I got older, went to the School for the Arts in Baltimore for a short period of time. But it's, whatever, it's just natural. I never had any voice lessons or anything like that. So it is, just is what it is.
So now, do you use this when preaching? I've gotten to see you actually perform and preach a few times, and your music seems really a part of how you connect with people. Is that something that you've always done sort of as a way to help reach people? You find the music connects with them? Sometimes when they're not quite ready for the words yet.
Yes, it's actually a combination, that I use. And I don't know, the Lord He just placed that in me one service a little while back. And so as I do altar call, and have the people, come up, or whosoever will, that comes up for prayer and whatever. If God, leads me to give them a prophetic word or just pray for them. Sometimes there's a song that comes that is meeting their need. And it, it just automatically, it just comes, I don't plan, I'm not a manuscript preacher.
Right.
I don't have, pages and pages of script, of sermon
your notes,
to
you
read.
got a script out.
I used to do that in the beginning when I, first became ordained and first started preaching. I would have everything word for word written out. Right. But, now I just rely on the Holy Ghost and the anointing of God, because He's the one that knows what His people need.
Right.
So I just stand there as a empty, open vessel for Him to use.
Wow. So now, how long have you been preaching?
Oh, let's see. It's been about 10 years.
And you mostly go into other churches, do revivals and special evenings, and what are some of the places that you have traveled to and some of the different types of events that you've gone to sing and to preach at?
Let's see. Well, my first sermon that I preached was in Kennett, Missouri.
Good Lord, you've been everywhere.
And I was invited there to be a special guest female psalmist. And it was lovely. I got there and everybody was so cordial and hospitable. And the bishop, the next morning, the bishop wanted to meet me because him and his wife hadn't had a chance to meet me. Sure. And so I went into his office and I was talking to him. And I wasn't an ordained minister then, I was a missionary. And so he sat there and he listened, and as we talked, and he said, well, the Lord had me to have you to preach this sermon, bring forth the sermon today. And my heart stopped. And, but I'm still holding my composure. I'm sitting there with my big hat, my black and white hat with the bow and my suit. And
naturally.
So I'm holding my composure. And so I'm like, oh, my God. So I went outside after I left out his office, and I said, somebody give me a Bible, because I was scared to fly. So I caught the bus, which took like 28 hours.
Oh, my goodness, yes.
And so I traveled light. I said, somebody give me a big Bible and a piece of paper. I've got to write down what I'm going to say. And when I got there and I got into his wife's office, the first lady, she let me in her office, and I was praying the whole time, Lord, help me, Jesus. Lord, help me, Jesus. And as I was looking at the words in the Bible, the words were actually lifting up off of the page into my eyes, and I could hear the words in my ears.
Wow.
And so I sat in there about 10 minutes, and I came out, and they went praise and worship. And so to make a long story short, at the end of the service, the sound guy was playing back a tape. And I said, "Ooh, y'all was having a good time in there." I was like, "Who is that?" And they all looked at me and bust out laughing.
That's you.
And they were like, "That's you." And I said, "What?" Come to find out, the pastor of the church, which I said was the bishop, he was the archbishop for the state of Missouri. And I didn't know that. He never said anything until I saw his plaque on the wall. And I was like, oh God. So, and then about a month or two after that, I was ordained minister, and I just kept on going.
Wow. So now, did it ever occur to you, I mean, you have such a gorgeous voice, but the audience for gospel music, not everybody is able to connect with it. Did you ever consider singing other types of music or performing in other styles just to give more people a chance to hear you?
Yes, I actually have recorded another song that I wrote with my daughter.
What?
And I wrote that song, I think we were in her little studio for about a half hour. And she had made a beat. And I said, what I'm going to do with that? Because I'm more traditional. Right. And so I sit down and I just wrote some things and just, said some things. And the song came to be, and it's called Come to Me.
Uh-oh.
And it has a beat and so it's.
So now we're ready for the CD now. We're ready for the CD. When's the CD coming?
When's the CD coming?
We need to get that popping.
Let's see. For my own, I just have a couple of singles that I have recorded.
Nice.
Just need to put them together. I did record with Maryland Mass Choir a few years ago.
Wow.
So I don't know. We'll see.
It's coming. When the Lord makes it happen, it's going to happen.
When He makes it happen, it'll happen.
Well, thank you for coming and joining us and sharing your talent and your word with us today. And I know people have your website, and your email address is, tell the audience.
Odyssey8@yahoo.com. That's ODDESSY, the number 8@yahoo.com. And I am available for revivals, sermons. You need deliverance. I am a deliverance preacher, prayer, healing, and deliverance. Come with the anointing of God to do His will for His people.
Amen. I heard that. Thank you, Pastor Day.
Thank you.
The fabulous art on our set today is done by one of my favorite local artists, Deb Lentz. She does these beautiful children whimsically inspired pieces that also went into her children's book, which she brought with us today. Deb Lentz, welcome to Culture in Maine, and thank you so much for bringing your art. When I first saw you at Market View Arts, and I just was drawn from the color and the movement, and just it was so bright and fun and alive that it pulled me in from the hallway. And I was like, oh my gosh, I need to see this art. I need to have this art on my show. And I had no idea that you had found such a cool and creative way to get it out into the community. So now, which came first, the art or the book?
Well, the art in the book came after the story. Okay,
cool.
Yeah, so what I did was I decided, I thought, I'd like to write a children's book. And then I started thinking about different children's books that are out there. And there are so many books that are repetitive. They just say them 5 different ways. And I thought, I can do that, but so what? Because a lot of people have that, right? Yeah, so what? So I thought, okay, let me think of something that a child would like. Well, children by the time they're 3 years old, they want to know all kinds of questions. It's like, why? And, you know, and they just want to know things. So I thought, gee, that would be good. So then I started thinking, things I'd like to know. What would I like to know? So then I started trying to think of things that children might like to know, but adults might think are pretty cool little questions too. So that's what I did. So I wrote a series of questions down. And as the mood hit me, I picked a different one out. So they aren't in the order they are in the book. That's not how I painted them.
Okay.
But then when I was all done, I put them all together, and I made this book. And I have
Cool. Let's show them the book. I feel like I'm back being a preschool teacher again. And one of my former lives, we had the whole preschool teacher. And so now these books, people can purchase.
They can purchase them on Amazon. Amazon.com.
So cool.
They go to the children's section, and you just put in things I'd like to know, and it'll pop up. And
they're beautiful. The original artwork is it's so colorful and so vibrant. And each one of these was a different original piece that you created.
Yes.
Wow. And now you do have studio space at the fabulous Market View Arts.
Yes, I do.
Right across from the market downtown. How did you end up in there?
Well, you know, I had taken, I've been an artist my whole life, as far as my grandfather was an artist.
Oh, wow. So you're a real legacy artist.
Yeah. So, and my mother, she also was an artist, although, you know, she got busy raising a family and she didn't have as much time for it. But when I was young, I'd see art on my grandparents' wall, and I didn't realize it was my grandfather until one day I said, I love these pictures. Who did these? And he said, oh, you don't know. I did these. So I ended up looking through his art books from when he went to school, and my mother would show me, and I just always loved it. And then I did go to York Academy of Arts for a short time after getting out of high school, but I became a beautician, had my own beauty shop. I did all kinds of things.
Yes,
so then,
you're a Renaissance woman.
Yeah, so eventually I went back and I wandered in a little shop. It was called City Art with Brenda Whittemire. And I just had tears in my eyes because it just felt like home. And I said, do you give lessons? Because I'd really like to brush up. Well, I ended up being with her for like 6 years.
Wow.
And she finally said, Deb, I think it's time for you to have your own. So I said, okay. So she told me about Market View Arts. And I went in, and you have to apply, and you take your art, you know, your DVD in and your resume. And that's how I ended up there. They chose me that I could come in if I wanted to, and that's what I did. So I've been there for about a year, and there's myself and like 5 other fabulous artists that are down there, and so I'm very happy there.
Wow. So now, what would you say made you decide to go with the more whimsically inspired art and the animals, and even the pieces that are not necessarily from the book? You tend to stay in that genre. Why did that appeal to you in particular?
Well, I think it's a lot of fun to create an animal that is almost realistic but has whimsy in it. And then I like to put a thought in their mind. So I always wait till the very last thing and I do their eyes. That's my treat. That's my treat, that I get to do the eyes. And when I do the eyes, that puts a soul in them, and it puts thoughts, and you can almost look at them and know what they're thinking. And that's what I have a lot of fun with. So I do other kinds of art. I do what I call living room art, if somebody wants it. But I just tend to, tend to like this. It's just fun for me, and I just get a thrill every time. And I myself can't wait to see it when it's done.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So now, if you had to give some advice to other younger artists that were in the same position that you were, where they wanted to, you know, explore, they wanted to figure out how they could move forward to the next level, what would you tell them about how they can both find themselves in their art, find their way to pick what specific type of art works for them, but also how they can go about getting it out there in the same way you did? Because your career has just taken off.
Yeah.
Like, it's incredible. Everybody knows about you.
Thank you. Well, one thing is, it's a very, when you're painting, you will find that you might paint one kind of picture and then another kind of picture. And then you will find a picture that really excites you. And when you find what really excites you, which you just can't wait to pick up that paintbrush or that pencil or, whatever, charcoal, because I do charcoal sometimes, you can't wait to get to that picture. That's when you know it's what you should do, because usually you put your whole heart and soul in it and people can tell and they gravitate towards that piece of art. So it really finds you. Okay. Yeah, you can't find it. It has to kind of find you. And I think a young artist, I had some good advice from Brenda Whittemire, and she told me, get out there in the art community. Let people see what you do. You need to get out there. You can be the most wonderful artist, but if you're just in your home painting, as I was before, no one's going to find you. So you have to take that leap, and you have to risk that someone might say, I don't like what you do. That's okay. Someone might really like it, some might not. Sometimes people will say things, some criticism that, if you think back on it, maybe they're right. Okay. And maybe you can change things up. It does elevate you when you step out of your comfort zone, you step out of that box. It elevates you to want to try harder and I'll say up your game.
Nice.
So
I like that. I really like that.
Yes, yes.
Well, now, your space at Market View Arts, you are there every first Friday.
Yes.
And where else and when else can people find you and your art?
Well, they can find me in they can find me in my book, and I also was put on YouTube by another gentleman. Yeah, through the York Dispatch, and I have some websites, but they're just preliminary right now. So Market View Arts, you can find me on their website. And you could find me on morningstarmarketplace.net, and then look under fun art, and you can find me there. And sometimes I'll go out and do like a little show somewhere. I was at Nisley's Winery about a year or so ago, but I'm just getting ready to step out and really go other places. Ooh. So you'll have to stay tuned on that one.
Right, bringing fun art to the world.
Yeah. So yeah, and I also I've read at like preschools and different places. Read my book to children, and I want to go to the local libraries and step out and do that too, because that gets my art out there as well as my book.
And teaching kids to appreciate art and to love art. I mean, what a huge influence that was on you, just being brought up around art and the sensibility of art. Oh, yes. Is huge. And I know, like, my mother was an art gallery owner, and she brought me up with art in our home and poetry and music in our home. And, now I can't imagine how different I would be without those early influences. So I hugely believe whatever we can do to bring that into the lives of children, and the fact that you create art that specifically will appeal to the younger viewers as well as to the mature viewers, it's so unique to me, and it's so wonderful because it's just what we need. It really is.
Well, I'll tell you a little funny story. When First Friday is taking place, people bring their children in sometimes. Yeah. And the very first Friday we were open, a lady and man brought their 2 little girls in. And I thought, I know I'm a success at what I'm doing, because these 2 little girls ran up, peeked in my studio, ran back to their mom, and I heard them say, hey, can we get down to the playroom? There's a children's playroom down there. And I thought, okay, the children think it's a place to play. That's what I wanted. Yeah, so.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so all the kids come in and they're like, oh, this is fun. And I always make sure that, I not only have I have like juice boxes and water and things like that, so the little kids, so they can feel a part of it too. It's not just an adult thing. They feel like, oh, gee, I like art, and that excites them. They might not want to look at some art that we find very beautiful, but this, they're like, hey, this is neat. It's like one of their storybooks. So Yeah, and on this book, I really wanted to get kids thinking, and at the end, the last question is, what would you like to know? So that really gets the kids thinking, you know, geez, gets their imagination going.
What do I want to know?
Yeah, yeah. So that's pretty neat, and so I'm going to work on another book, and we'll see where that one goes.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait to read book number 2, and I am obsessively in love with this one and with your art. Thank you so much for coming on the show today and talking to us.
Oh, thank you for having me. I really, really enjoyed it.
See, I was introduced to him about 10 or so years ago, and he was just sitting there looking as strong and black as ever. So I asked, what does that taste like? How does that make you feel? And he said, it'll keep you awake. It'll keep you alive. It'll keep you focused when your eyes feel heavy. So go ahead on and get yourself some of that invigorating liquid that warms your insides till your outsides explode. Just setting your neurons into an explosive rage, forcing you to engage at 95 miles per hour, typing 105 words per minute, popping keys off the board, but who cares? As long as I can get me some of that. Because you see around here, he got many names. Latte, espresso, cafe mocha. But for those of us that can handle a real cup, he's known as Rico Rico, Riquísimo, Cafe Bustelo. Egypt making me crazy. And all I can ever say is, Dame más, dame más. Because you see, when he leaves, it's like a 10-story drop, concrete beneath me, awake, sleepwalking. And all I can think about is how I can get myself some more of that. He has me rooting through my change drawer, rooting through my purse, asking my homie if she got me, because shoot, that can't hurt. You see, it's bad when your day can't begin until you feel that warm sensation jolting through your core senses and hindering your need for more. Thank you. If you didn't figure out, that was a little piece about something that I love, love, love. If anybody knows Miss Fine, they know that she loves, loves, loves coffee. So that was my little piece just to introduce myself. My next piece I'm going to go into is a group piece, but we also do it separately. It represents my group Wordwide, and it explains why I am Wordwide. I am Wordwide, like Quad Leaf flowing over a high-tech beat. Just to get by, just to get by, just to get by, just to get by. I write line for line, quoting 67 chapters of ancient scribe, raising the spirit of my ancestors' light, traveling through your soul and engaging your mind, forcing your mental to expand to its right potential. Moving past those empty phrase notebooks while scribing Egyptian hieroglyphic phrases, translating truth with a bilingual tongue. There's no E in my bonics to add to your stereotypical lines. Wordplay with the strength of Shakespeare and death of Edgar Allan Poe, because shoot, I make love to the lines of those sheets, one page at a time, pen in hand, ready to choreograph the truth. After the cameras go off and the lights go out, you see, I live between the lines and I lay on top of pages. I wash off from words and I dry off with syllables. I lotion up with synonyms and send it up with a little noun or verb, depending on the day of the week. And I always have a focus and direction. I'm never wondering how to get to Sesame Street, how to get to Sesame Street. Because my backpack is always packed full of lethal words, ready to be used as weapons and mass destruction. So please excuse me, as the wideness of my words are illuminated across the night sky, and Negro hymns that begin and end in melodic phrases that let you know that I am the light on the way, the weight of your hope, the truth in the pain when you're trying to cope. I am the lessons in life you cannot hide. I am Wordwide. Thank you.
That was the incredible spoken word stylings of Miss Fine. However, she is actually a dual alter ego poet. Daytime hours, she's Edquina Washington, and she actually works with the city as their director of community relations. So she knows more about the arts and what's going on in the city and how you can get involved in LinkedIn than pretty much anybody I know. So you can see why I wanted her here today. Okay, so you have the dual ego thing going. Now,
Yes.
tell me about Wordwide. You mentioned Wordwide in your piece, and that is your group. That is the performance collective that you frequently perform with, and you do a lot of other stuff with Wordwide too in the community.
Yes, we do.
Tell us about Wordwide. Who is Wordwide? How'd they come about, and what is some of the stuff that you guys do?
Well, actually, Wordwide came about from I was at a spoken word event in Harrisburg, and I bumped into an old friend known as True Indeed, Shane Tandymore.
Who was a guest on our show
Yes, he
several
was.
weeks
Yes,
ago.
he was. And he said, hey, Edquina, do you want to get together and do a group and have a meeting? So we had the meeting, and he said he wanted to get a group, get some things started in the area. This was back in 2007, 2008.
Right.
And I sent an email out to some local poets that I knew might have been interested. And at our meeting, the poet that showed up was Nicole Shockley, which we know as Coco, which is the other member of our group. And from then on, we've been performing. We had a big breakout event at Portraits of Beauty Studio 2 in 2008. And from then on, we've had our Artificial Mics event. We've had that in the
You guys
city.
did a great spoken word event. That was at Lux, and it was also at City Arts. And
Yes.
you guys were at Jawstruck, the spoken word festival that we
were.
did at the
Yes, we were.
Emporium. So, I mean, yes. And you guys have actually do a lot of stuff going into schools, and
Yes,
you've done
we do.
some other special educational
Yes, we do.
appearances too.
Yep. We also focus, we try to give our art to others, to those who may not be able to embrace it or need to be introduced to it new, and especially our youth. I think a lot of times our youth are led to live in a box. And we just want to give them inspiration, allow them to be creative. We just finished a workshop we did with the Salvation Army, the youth there. I love them. They did a performance and it was awesome. We've also worked with Crispus Attucks. We've also worked with Central York High School. We've worked with a couple other school groups and youth groups, but it's awesome. It's a phenomenal experience to see youth be intrigued and excited about art.
Well, now, how do you get kids that are not necessarily getting much art in school? There's not a huge appreciation for it in the community at large. How do you get these kids excited about art and about poetry?
What we normally do is we show up and we don't tell the students, we don't start off talking, we start off with a performance.
Nice.
And we're very energetic, we interact with each other, we have fun, we laugh with it. And normally once we do that, they're entertained and they want to find out how to do that, or they want to find out how to craft their skills, because several of the students already are talented and they already have their skills. They just don't know that there's an outlet for it or that it's accepted.
Right. So it gives them that safe space. Now, do you feel that working in a spoken word format is more accessible than working with traditional poetry?
I would say it depends on where you're at. It depends on what youth group you're at and what school you're at. But we also embrace both of them and try to empower the word, the power of the word. Words are so powerful. Words are so important, and you can break someone's heart with your words, or you can brighten their day with your words. And we try to express that all the time and let them know that what you have to say is important, and we want to hear and we want to listen.
Nice. Now, part of the mission, I know, of Wordwide and the Artificial Mics was wanting to bring some of the incredible art scene that's happening down in Baltimore, that's happening up in Harrisburg, and bring that to the people of York.
Yes.
Because it's a great community, it's full of artists, it's full of performers, but it's just not as well known as some of these bigger cities.
Right.
So did some of that inspiration come from the work you do with the city? Like, how did you end up being this advocate for the arts in York?
I think just my love of the arts, and and I also seen that it was lacking. It was lacking in the city of York at that time in 2007, 2008. Although there were other poetry venues, but as you spoke of, just that scene in Baltimore, Maryland, or that scene in Philly, the thriving of it, the love of it, the energy when you walk in that room, that everything is welcomed. If you want to come up and play your guitar and let us just vibe to that, that is welcomed. If you want to come up and do your spoken word, if you want to sing, if you want to come up and do a skit to a play, play, that all of that was welcomed in that environment. And I think at that time that was lacking. And once we started it, it was a little iffy, but I would say that first, second, third event, it was just kicked off, and the love from the community was awesome.
So now, what would you say is the difference when you think about what the community looked like in York, what arts look like in York, what just that downtown feeling was like in York compared to now? What's changed?
I would say it has changed about 85%, and because of you.
That's conservative. Not just.
I would say it, even on social media or even walking through downtown York, I see places that are more open to having poets or spoken word artists or artists in there. Our restaurants are opening up now to allow open mics.
Yeah.
I just think that is fantastic that we are merging, those two components together. You know, what's good is to be able to eat and drink and enjoy some good art, enjoy some good music, and even to the aspect of having all forms of art there. There's restaurants who actually allow artists to place their artwork in there, so that while you're eating and you're dining and you're enjoying your friends and family, you can look up and see something that you can walk out the door with that day.
That was like original art hanging up in Bistro the other night. I went to Just Cupcakes, and I'm like, I'm not looking at like little cupcake posters. I'm looking at local art. This is amazing.
I think it's proof to show that a little aid can spark something huge.
Super true. And one of the things that is one of my pet causes that I keep trying to convince people of is that on our own, just like one artist on their own, is difficult to make those connections, to get your work out there. And if you can collaborate with other artists, you can have so much more momentum.
Yes.
But the same thing, the art community, if we are working only with each other and only alone, we can only move forward so far. But when you get the commercial community, the people that own businesses, the people that own these restaurants, and then when you get the government and you get the people that shape policies in the city. I mean, I know it was a huge thing allowing more street performers that the city council just approved, and little things like making the meters end earlier. So now people can come and park downtown, and there's more street lights. They can use the parking garages for free. And it's absolutely made a change in the level of traffic at the open mics, in the restaurants. You know, it's that all these communities need to come together. And in York, I think I've seen that more so than I have in any other cities I travel to and perform in, is seeing that government, that commerce, those restaurants, that downtown scene, and the artists, and the people that are, you know, both music and poetry and visual art, like everybody just coming together.
Right.
Do you feel like there is a difference in the York community as opposed to some of the other places that you have been and traveled in and performed in? Because you've been performing all over.
I would just say that the difference between the York community and some of the other places, where York is a small community and we are very tight knit. And if I hear that a fellow poet of mine is performing somewhere, or if I hear a friend of mine is performing somewhere, we will gather amongst artists and amongst family members and show that support and that love. Where oftentimes when you are at some other venues in bigger cities, you don't oftentimes see that. So I think that's something that's unique to our community, and it's an aspect that I love about our community, that we can show that love for one another, and it is that small, it is that tight-knit, that we can say, you know, hold on for a minute, my friend, hey, Carla's performing, I gotta be there.
We gotta go. We gotta go, for sure. Well, thank you for coming down and for talking to us about community and sharing the word and the spoken word with us. And now we're just gonna see if we can convince you to perform a little bit more, but make sure to hit the Culture in Maine Facebook page so that whenever we get news of exactly what Edquina is going to be doing, we'll be letting you know.
Hello, my name's Jeff Claycomb. I'm going to read a couple poems for you. This first one is called Spontaneous Combustion. It's a little social commentary on humanity and where I think we are and where I think we need to go. Are we unaware or just don't care about the imminence of our self-destruction, covered with the cloak of distraction by means of desire, fear, and satisfaction? We live on a sphere of unity, and our existence is but a blip. All it would take is a belch of magma or a polarity flip. In a society that idolizes materialism, we are all responsible, and this is the only outcome possible. But humans are followers, and mainly that, which presents an opportunity for a mass change or revelation. Being instilled naturally with love and goodwill, our martyrs of peace laid the foundation. Change will come only through numbers and by word of mouth. So wake from your sleepwalking slumber. Fight a bloodless battle even if the price is your life, because there is glory in righteous self-sacrifice. This next poem is called Coalescence. It's about an ex-girlfriend and how I view our time spent together. That dimple smile still glows, portal eyes that cut to the core. Our rebel spirits were condemned by our parents, trading grades for wild escapades. We struggled together but lifted the other, never could say goodbye. One more kiss wouldn't suffice. Wrapped in each other, left me lost in that beautifully naive vice. Jealousy, anger, and infidelities, coupled with passion, bliss, then coalescence. I know that day will come. Painful excitement, bursting energy. The reunion is brief, a final memory. And this last poem is called Tranquility. It's a little more confusing, I guess, kind of meant to be that way, but it's about the duality of life and nature and how those things are cyclical and harmonious at the same time. Rocks ripple infinitely smaller circles. Wind whips cream off ocean tops. Seagulls sing songs and clap, and crabs clap in applause. Shoeless monks traveling dirt paths. Martial artists who prefer peace. Lava bubbles to break old and bring new. Calm calamities at crossroads. Birds frolic through thermals. Giraffes slumber on wavelengths. Temples functioning as one with nature. Trees mix delightfully among bricks, cylindrical pyramids atop rhombi-style rectangles. Sand rain, dust sprinkles, water whirls, wind rises, sun dries, fire flies up. Reconstruction is possible when vines break old structures. Green life melts into brown, earthbound. The air is still. Thank you.
Now, there are some pretty cool, colorful characters in York County, but one of the most colorful is definitely poet Jeff Claycomb. When he sent me his information, he said, "Are you sure you want somebody? Because I'm a conspiracy theorist who believes in aliens." And I said, "Yeah, pretty much absolutely. That's what we want." So, poet Jeff Claycomb.
Hello.
So now, what do you think is your bigger claim to fame, your poetry or your conspiracy theories?
Well, I don't think I have much of a claim to fame, but
The FBI is probably tracking my show right now because you're on
yeah,
it.
absolutely. No, I only talk about that with friends, so I guess definitely poetry.
So now, the whole reason that you came on the show right now when you came on is because you are about to disappear for months, doing one of the craziest summer plans I've ever heard of. You are going to the wilderness of Montana.
I am. I got a job in Glacier National Park as a server at a resort restaurant, which is just really exciting. I know it's a little cliche to say, like, this is one of my life dreams, but, you know, it definitely is. I'm sure you're going to ask, how did I hear about this? How did I get this job?
It's a little unexpected.
Yeah. My sister has done this for a number of years, actually. She did an organic farming thing in Hawaii and worked at Yellowstone National Park. So she kind of knows the ins and the outs and, you know, told me what websites to go to, put in like 5-10 applications, got a call back from Glacier. And
so now what made you decide that you needed to get out into nature and you needed to be close to the rural essence of the universe in that way?
I guess, you know, I really have an affinity for nature. You know, it's a big country, it's a big world. I don't have really any serious grown-up responsibilities right now, so now's the time to do something like this.
It's all going to be poems later.
Yeah, who knows? Can do it while I'm out there.
So what inspires you? Like, where do you get the inspiration for your poetry? What makes you like, I need to get that down and I need to express it and I need to write it?
I'm sure a lot of people feel this way, but I only write when I'm really inspired, so that can come in bursts. It can, maybe it's one a month, and in the past 6 months, I think I've only written 2 poems. So, I don't force it.
Okay.
And it's really got to be when I'm feeling it. I'll know when one's coming, and it's just like, yep, I feel it bubbling, and I just go home, get everything out on paper, and then I edit later. And
so you are not one of those people that says, write every day.
I can't. I feel like I'd be writing a lot of crap. I'm sorry if I'm not supposed to be saying that, but
we totally go with that here.
Okay. Well, I would be writing a lot of crap if I wrote every day. I don't even know what I'd write about.
So what do you consider makes something a good poem? Like, how do you know when you've written something and it's a keeper?
I guess it's got to be a serious issue, relevant to the world, or serious to me. And I can tell after reading, poems a couple of times if I'm proud of it, or if it's like, I'll keep it in my little journal, but nobody has to see this one. So that's how that goes.
Nice. So when you are getting ready to travel through the wilds of the summer, you don't necessarily do more natural inspired poetry, most of the pieces that I've read. So how does the life experiences that you are so actively seeking after, how does that influence your work?
Well, I wrote a few nature poems, but you're probably right, not too many. How do my life experiences influence my poetry?
Like you said that, this is something that you should do before you die. It's important to you to have these experiences, to go out in the world, and it's not just enough to accept what's given to you, to accept what's placed in front of you. And that's, I would say, from what I know of you, one of the hallmarks of your personality. Question everything.
Yeah, well.
So how does that come across? How does that influence your work, since a lot of your work isn't necessarily directly discussing that?
Okay.
I'm
sure I'll, as far as questioning everything, I read a good bit, a lot of articles online, how that's going to apply to nature when I'm out in the great outdoors. I guess I'll just be taking hikes and see if I get inspiration that way. I don't know how much I can question nature, maybe like, how does this work? How does that work? And then write about it. I don't know. It's going to be an open book. I'm pretty spontaneous, so we'll just see what happens.
How did you get started with writing? What made you first decide to pick up that pen and express yourself poetically?
I can remember one of the first poems I wrote. It was in 2009, and a friend that I was pretty close with, only for a short amount of time, just up and left, and I felt like I really had to get it on paper, and it was another 2 years until I wrote really anything else, and then it just started coming out. So I'd say in the last 2 years is when I've done the majority of my writing.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, okay, I'm going to cross my fingers that you don't get eaten by a bear.
Yeah, well.
I'm kind of my idea of wilderness is no room service.
No, probably not.
So you're going to a whole nother level. But I wish you truly the best of luck, and I hope that you come back with a whole new perspective and a whole new set of stories and poetry to share with us.
Well, I appreciate it, and I'm sure I'll have some stories to share.
Nice. I can try.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of my favorite show on TV, Culture in Maine. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at Culture in Maine. Make sure to send us your emails, cultureinmaine@gmail.com. Watch whole episodes on YouTube at the White Rose Community TV channel or WRCT.TV. Just go under Channel 18 show profiles and you'll find the Culture in Maine page, which has links to all of our feeds, tons of photos, upcoming, past, future guests, all the information you want. We love to hear from you. We want to make this show the voice of York County and its surrounding areas everything cultural and artistic going on. So if you have something to share that you want to see, please let us know. Thank you for joining us on the Corner of Culture in Maine, and have a wonderful, blessed, and safe week.
Sweet Romania in my heart. Zbor spre iubire, dulce Românie, zbor spre iubire, dulcea mea Românie. Sweet Romania, my sweet Romania, I'm flying towards love. Love is the answer. Love is my prayer. Zbor, zbor, zbor spre iubire. Tu ești iubirea, tu ești lumina, tu ești pasiunea, tu